Just left Home Depot. Went to pick up some stuff. Got some concrete. You know, that tube you see back there. I gotta build a concrete foundation for my gazebo. You know, for my grill. So that way I can anchor the gazebo to the ground. And the wind will stop blowing it all over the place because it has the canopy on top. And when you get strong enough winds, it catches up underneath it, and it starts lifting it. My last house that I had when I lived in South Jersey, I had a really big canopy, and I didn't know any better. I just put it together, and I had it sitting on the ground, and it was a nice gazebo. We spent good money for it. We spent good money on this gazebo. One weekend we came up to North Jersey to visit family, like we used to do every weekend or every other weekend, pretty much. And when we came back home on Sunday, as we run down the street, we're seeing this freaking pile of mess. Like it looked like a broken up gazebo sitting across the street from my house on someone's BMW, on my neighbor's across the street from me's BMW. So I'm sitting there like, oh snap, yo, that's crazy. I'm sitting there wondering what happened there and stuff like that, right? So I'm like, so I just went in my yard. So I just pulled in my driveway like nothing, went in my house, went about my business, and then I went in the backyard to check on my pool because, down there in South Jersey, the closer you are to the Delaware River, you get that acid rain. Whenever it rains, you get acid rain. So I got in the habit of checking, even though it didn't rain. I just get in the habit of checking my pool, make sure it didn't turn green. So what happens is you get the acid rain, and if you don't, and they tell you that, all the pool stores down there tell you that whenever you get the acid rain, you got to throw a bag of shock in there right away, as soon as it's done. So that way, don't turn your pool green, because your pool will literally turn green overnight, especially if it's hot outside. So I just got in the habit, whenever I go home, and just go check it out, make sure my pool is still, clear and not green. And do some work on it. So when I walk out my the patio doors, onto the back deck, and I look over to the right, and I notice the fucking gazebo is not there. I'm like, yo, where the hell is my damn gazebo? And I'm sitting there just looking around the yard, and I'm like, yo, this bad boy is gone. And then that's when it occurred to me. I was like, yo, oh snap, that was my gazebo across the street. Now mind you, I had a half-acre yard, so a little bit more than a half acre actually. So, and my house sat back like 100 feet from the street. So that gazebo, the wind carried that gazebo from the backyard, and I had a fence too. I had like a 5-foot fence. I had a 5-foot fence, surrounding my yard. So it carried it from the side of the house over the fence, past the house, past the whole front yard, across the street, and parked it right on my freaking neighbor's BMW. I couldn't believe that even happened. And I'm gonna say it. Some people might not believe it, but I'm gonna say, but by the grace of God, because I'm a believer, by the grace of God, the way that the canopy landed, all the mesh, the canopy hood and the mesh, because we had one of those canopies that had the mesh surrounding it to keep the bugs out, keep the mosquitoes from, coming in when you're inside. All of that kind of landed on the car, and the metal parts of the canopy was laying on top of that all over the car. I wish I had took a picture of it. I couldn't believe it. But so the mesh and the fabric parts of the canopy protected the person's car, because that person's car is much stuff that was sitting on top of his car. Like my whole canopy was just like, and it wasn't just like parked like over, like the car looked like it was like driven into the canopy. It was mangled because that bad boy rolled from my backyard to the front yard, across the street, and on his car. So it was a mangled mess of metal sitting on my neighbor's car, his Beamer. And that wasn't a brand new Beamer, but nonetheless it was a Beamer, BMW. And there was not a single scratch on it. Because I'm sitting there like, I don't even know how to even go about this. Did you go through car insurance? You go through homeowners? I imagine it's more homeowners. But how the hell do you explain that shit? Like, yo, my canopy in my backyard blew out my backyard and over into my neighbor's yard and his yard. And then, something that I found out recently because of the situation that happened with me, then it would have been like even more messed up, because I would have found out then that what happens is that if damage in the state of New Jersey, which is like the most effed up rule ever, in the state of New Jersey, if damage has occurred on your property, whether it came from your property or from somebody else's property, if it occurred on your property, you have to go through your property insurance to handle it. So he couldn't even, if I would have called my insurance to try to make a claim for that, my insurance would have told him, no, he has to go through his own property insurance. And the reason why I know this, for you people that's living out in Jersey, listen close, because this applies to you. My neighbor, I just had it, you've seen videos of my pool and stuff like that. I finally got my pool together and stuff like that. I'm going to put some pictures up also. But my neighbor's tree basically toppled over and fell. Like the whole top half of the tree just landed in my pool. My pool was brand new. I just had that bad boy built. They finished construction in late November, early December. And a month and a half later, it was like mid-January, maybe close to the end of January, we had a snow, and it wasn't even that bad of a snow. It was just the type of snow that it was. It was kind of slushy, so it was a little heavier than your average, snow. And I guess the tree couldn't take the weight, and the tree toppled over and landed right in my pool. Brand new pool, never even swam in it. I one time just finished paying cash for it. I know I had mentioned this before when I did my rant. Me and my boy Slim did the rant about Seasonal World and everything. But yeah, obviously, my neighbor, he's the one who called me because he actually saw it happen. He was in his backyard and he saw it happen. I'm on my way to work. He calls me up like, yo, and you could hear it in his voice. He was like scared shitless. And he was like, yo, my tree just fell in your pool. Now, the way that the tree was hanging over, there was this long branch that was hanging over my yard. And when he said that, there was just one branch, because I had approached him a couple months earlier, talking about, I'll go half on you if you cut down the trees because I'm scared that it's going to fall. I was scared that this one part is going to, because I have a shed back on my back right part of my yard up against the fence. And this tree branch from that tree that actually fell, there's a big tree branch that hung over my shed. And I was scared that one day that tree branch was actually going to snap off and fall and land on my shed. So I had approached him about having to cut, I'll go half on him, cutting it down. I didn't want to be, I was a brand new neighbor. I had just moved there. I didn't want to be a dick and be like, yo, I need you to go start cutting down your trees because it's going to fall down on my property. I was like, I saw the potential chance of property damage. So I was like, look, go get an estimate, and whatever it is, I'll pay half. I don't want to be an asshole. I'll pay half. I'm asking you to cut down trees in your yard. I don't want to be that guy, but I have to be that guy because I don't want to have to pay to fix stuff in my yard if stuff, I don't want to have to go through all that, problem and hassle of, your trees causing damage to me on my property. Then we have to do that whole dance. So, he agreed, but he didn't have the money right then and there to do it. I had approached him about this in November when my pool had just got finished being built. All right, and he didn't have the money there, so I was like, all right, when you get the money, let me know. Go get an estimate. Let me see the estimate, and I'll pay half. Nothing else said about it. There you go. 6 weeks later, boom. He calls me up, tells me tree fell in my yard. I'm immediately thinking that branch snapped off, fell, crushed my damn shed in the backyard. And it's like a new shed too, because the guy I bought the house from said that he literally just bought that shed like a year before he sold the house. So it was a brand spanking new shed, a big shed, like a 16 by 20, barn house shed. And I had some stuff. I had my, air hockey table in there and various other things in there that, we didn't quite put in our house yet. So I'm thinking that all that stuff is gone, done. I got no pictures, no nothing, way to prove it to my insurance, nothing. The only thing the insurance probably would have replaced is just a shed, if anything. So I'd have lost all that stuff inside. So So I was like, yo, so when he said it, I was like, yo, is the shed really bad? Like, did it just hit the front of the shed back, or did it land smack in the middle? And he's like, no, it didn't touch the shed. And I was like, so what, it just like fell in my yard and broke the gate? And he's like, well, that too. And I was like, what else happened? He's like, my tree toppled over and landed in your pool. And right then and there, I'm driving, I had to pull over because I couldn't believe it. And I'm sitting, all I thought about was like, brand new freaking pool, didn't even swim in it yet. How the hell did this happen? And basically, you know, I'm not gonna get into all the, you know, everything after that, but that's all you need to know. He called me telling me that the, you know, the tree fell in the pool. So he calls his insurance, and first thing insurance said, like, oh yeah, he has to go through his own property insurance. We're not covering that. So he felt even more like shit, because now there's nothing he could do about it. He don't have any money, you know, yet, because if he had money, we would have cut down the trees and this whole problem would have never even happened. So he felt like shit, but he was basically off the hook, because the state of New Jersey says that if damage occurs on your property, you have to go through your property damage. The other homeowner is not responsible for anything. And that's the most effed up law in the freaking world. I don't know of any other states that do this. I just think it's just a New Jersey thing. And I'm sure it has to be because of some stupid politician that got sued, and he made it his life, you know, business to get that law changed. And here we are, and screwed in Jersey. So, you know, I just wanted to say that. And that's pretty much, you know, what happened there. So I would have found out back then about the whole law had it did damage to my neighbor's, you know, Beamer. But luckily, like I said, by the grace of God, not one iota of damage whatsoever. No window scratch, not even a scratch on the paint, nothing. No damage. And I was like, yo. So I went over there and I carefully, you know, pulled all the pieces off, you know, carefully disassembled it, you know, because it was still together. It was just mangled up, but it was still together. Pulled all the pieces off, did all that, and basically called up the scrap man to come get it, because it's scrap now. There's no putting that back together, and I just lost good money. All that good money, you know, money I spent on that gazebo, gone out the window. So needless to say, you know, here we are now. I'm at Home Depot buying concrete and pylons and all this other stuff so I can anchor down this gazebo that I have. It's a small gazebo, nothing big like the one I had in South Jersey, but it's enough to cover my grill. But I want to make sure that bad boy don't blow away, because I've already watched the wind blow and watched it shift a little bit already. So I already know that we get a good enough wind, that bad boy is definitely going to get blown away. And that's the last thing I need, is for it to land up in somebody else's property, because I got lucky last time, by the grace of God. I don't think I'll get lucky twice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the right thing. And right now, like whenever I have the party and stuff, the first thing I do is, I connect the canopy part of it, and so so that way it's covering. But then when the party's over, before I go to, at night, I take the canopy part off the top, so that way if it's windy at night, it doesn't blow away. But now that I'm gonna do it the right way, I can leave the canopy part on it, because I don't have to worry about it blowing away, because it's gonna be secured to the ground the way it's supposed to be. So that was my little, my whole trip to Home Depot. That was what that whole trip was about, because it's, the season's, nice. I'm grilling more. I want to have it look nice. My yard's coming together and everything. One little thing at a time. You got to do one little thing at a time. So, yeah, that's pretty much, that was my trip to Home Depot. Grabbed some things, took care of that, did that. Boom.